I am legitimately flabbergasted at what has happened at this club in the last year and a half.
You don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fire. I won't wait for you, 'cause you keep telling lies. I keep going high, she keeps going low. At the end of the day, she's gone. But you don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fire. And you keep telling lies.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Outcasts 2 Icons. Wow. It's not where we expected to be right now, but it is the situation. So, for those of you that may have missed an episode or two, let me just sort of fill you in on the lay of the land. As you can see, we are no longer employed by Dinamo Zagreb. Of course, if you've enjoyed the series up to this point, of course, drop a like. That'd be helpful as well. But essentially, the board went on a mad one during the summer and eventually sold technically 7 first-team players, one youth player that was sort of on the fringes, out from underneath us during the same transfer window, and essentially stymied any chance we had of actually building a team at Dinamo to the point where it just became untenable, because it essentially felt like anytime I made a transfer in, the board would sell 2 more of our players in order to cover the costs, despite giving us a transfer budget. So it felt like we were never going to be able to build anything there, because every time we built something, they would come along and knock it down. And I had originally planned to go finish the season there and just kind of accept it, and then it was like, oh, we'll go in January, but then it just kept more and more, and we've basically decided that this was the best time to basically just be like, you know what, screw them. They clearly don't want to build anything there, so we are not going to take part in that. We've got our Continental B license now. Our media handling, would you love to see it? It's up to 73%, which hopefully means, despite the fact it's saying the press are more used to seeing his assistant, I guess statistically, we will hopefully have less of that crap in interviews as well. We have a 70% reputation now. I don't know if you can see it here. It should be... Yeah, you can see 70% reputation, which is good as well. And I think we should be able to walk our way into quite a nice job, probably one of the top 5 leagues this time. So the plan really is to obviously be looking and prioritizing those types of jobs this time around. But as I said last time in the last video, if it was to go a bit funky there as well, and we just didn't quite settle in the way we liked, and things went a bit wrong, I'd be more than happy to then once again step back out of those leagues and try to find another job a bit like the Zagreb one, and then just sort of edge our way along like that. But I really do feel like, given that we were offered a job interview at Lyon right before all the nonsense happened at Zagreb, there's definitely a quality of club that we are now on the radar of when they're coming to us rather than us having to go to them. So that's exciting. We've packed up our Volvo, we've been on a little tour around Europe, just chilling, staying in some Airbnbs, having a lovely time, seeing the sights and all that, but I think it's time we get ourselves back into management. I say that as it's literally the same day that we've resigned, but we're obviously going to go on a little break now to wait for some jobs to open up. But of course, one of the things we're going to do right now is check out and see what jobs are available. I don't think there's going to be many, because it's almost that limbo period that we normally end up looking for jobs in, so it's more likely going to be December, November kind of time that we actually find more jobs opening up, but I'm definitely kind of curious. So, without any further ado, let's get cracking. Let's have a look at the job centre. See what I mean? See what I mean? There's not really a lot available in here, is there? So, yeah. I mean, none of these jobs are really what we were particularly looking for. National's an interesting one, obviously based in Madeira, but really... I think that we'll probably have to have a little wait and see what actually pops up in the job map, and then come back and see where the lay of the land is once teams start actually sacking their managers and stuff. Honestly, didn't expect to find ourselves doing a job interview or job hunt episode this early, but hey, that's just how things go. That's the beauty of a journeyman, I suppose. Right then, we're back. Kim has had a nice little 6-week break. He's had a chill. He's gone on holiday. He's seen some friends, some family. He's had a good little time, and he's ready to sort of go back into management now. So we're back, and it's November 20th. I've just holidayed to this point so that we can just get to here and sort of see what the lay of the land is like. And I find that, generally speaking, over the past few job hunts, it's around about late November, this kind of time, through till January, that there is just a spate of sackings, depending on when the leagues start and whatnot. So I think this is kind of the perfect point to just jump in and have a little look at what's around. Now, generally speaking, so far, there doesn't appear to be great deals. So I think we want to sort of set some guidelines, because I am genuinely looking at certain leagues, really, to target for this particular step in the managerial ladder. And as I said, I'll be happy to step back should things not go great, unless there was an amazing job that comes up and I'm like, well, okay, fair enough. So I want to just look at the coefficient charts for a sec, so we can just sort of see where the leagues are. So the Croatian League was actually the 24th best league in Europe. They've slumped off. I don't actually know where Croatia is listed in real life. For some reason in my head, they always feel higher than that. Although it might just be because they were better than that on my other save. I don't know. But I kind of feel like Austria, I mean, unless it was Red Bull Salzburg, I don't think that there's many other jobs in Austria that at this point would be like, although that again, that's a sort of we could step away to type of job. Turkish League, again, Besiktas were really on the cards. That's an interesting job, to be fair. Portugal, the problem with Portugal is that the big four, if you like, in Portugal, i.e. Sporting, Braga. Although Braga is actually one of the ones I would consider. Like, that's the next drop down is Braga, but unfortunately they're off the list as well. So the big three and Braga are all unfortunately unmanageable. When you look at the list, Sporting, Porto, Benfica, Boavista are actually doing quite well. But I mean, yeah, Casapia top flight too. The Netherlands is a place where I'd be very tempted, because with the Netherlands, there's still a lot of teams off the list though, sadly. So off the list is Ajax, RZ, Feyenoord, PSV, and Twente as well. And when you look at that, PSV, Ajax, Feyenoord, Groningen and Utrecht are up there as well. But the thing is, some of these jobs would definitely be interesting to me, though. Someone like Heerenveen, honestly, would be a very interesting job. Somewhere like that. And the fact is, they're not having a great season, although I think they were newly promoted, so maybe there is that. They're the kind of jobs that I wouldn't actually be opposed to if we couldn't get like a really plum job, because it's not just about biggest name. At the end of the day, I want to have a cool journey as well to go with that, rather than just min-maxing. And I stress this every time. I've just fucking noticed, I'm sorry for swearing, but what the hell? Holy shit! Okay. Right, sorry. Okay. We have to have a look at last season's league table. Vitesse won the league in the Netherlands. What? Hang on, has that ever happened before? No. One Eredivisie title. Marcel Keizer has won the Eredivisie with Vitesse. Presumably with all their players on loan from Chelsea. I know that's just an old joke at this point, but bloody hell. Man's just come in and swept things. He also won that I presume is the Dutch, like, Super Cup probably, right? Wait, it's not? I am legitimately flabbergasted at what has happened at this club in the last year and a half. I don't know if any of you watching this are fans of Vitesse or are more familiar with Dutch football than me, but this is mental, right? They won the league and the cup. Or is this the League Cup? I'm fairly certain this is not the League Cup. This is the look, it's the 12th big... What on earth? Has a 63% win ratio, wins them the league and the cup in his first season in charge. That is ludicrous. But yeah, beyond that, it's kind of looking at those leagues, essentially. I'm really looking... But the problem is with the Russia, it's Cisca, Dinamo, and Zenit are all off the cards. Spartak, technically, are a team that is manageable. It's certainly interesting. They're up there. Yeah, okay. So that's sort of given us a little plan to go with. But unfortunately, none of the jobs that are actually available right now are at any of those clubs. And really, when you look at the top flight, the only top flight job in France is Troyes. There is no real top flight jobs in the other ones. Germany have none at all. Darmstadt in the second Bundesliga. And then Spain, you've just got Levante in the top flight. So I will apply for those jobs specifically, just to sort of test the waters about whether we'd be considered. But they really don't grip me right now. Right then. So, you'll see it is now the 19th of January. I figured we would have a bit more of an issue with trying to find jobs this time around, given the sort of targets that we're setting and all those sort of things as well. But it also has just been some bad luck in other areas, in the sense that we've been over the January period now, and obviously a lot of the main leagues around Europe have a big winter break, which means that they're unlikely to sack their managers for those winter breaks because, you know, they don't really commit any results. So there's a lot of insecure jobs going around Europe right now, but we're waiting for the leagues to come back so they can actually lose a couple more games and get the sack. Because there's quite a few jobs on the cards that could potentially go. In fact, I don't know if I can show you on this screen. I think on job security I can. Just sort of filtering it out a little bit. Obviously, you can see there are some jobs available in those leagues themselves as well, or certainly in some of the other divisions, since I can't filter by division. But what you can see is that there's the likes of, well, I mean, just looking at this example, Christoph Dabrowski's job at Freiburg is looking very much in doubt. There's also Eintracht Frankfurt, but we can't manage them. Betis can't manage them either. Sassuolo over in Serie A, they're an interesting one whose job is insecure at the moment too. Twente, that job came up in the Netherlands. I was kind of interested, but then I realised that was off the cards. There's been a lot of jobs come up that are just either not good enough or they're not teams we're allowed to manage. So it's been a bit of a weird limbo period at the moment. I think now once we get back into January and February, which is going to be the late point for one of these job hunt episodes, we should hopefully start to see some more sackings happen and find some more jobs start to come through as well. Obviously, I turned down the Troyes job in the end as well. The Atalanta job actually came up at one point, but I never heard back from them about that one. I applied for it, but we never got offered an interview, and I don't even remember seeing an article saying it was unsuccessful, but then that could just be because it got lost in a huge newsfeed. And Atalanta was a big job, and they're one of the big clubs left that we could potentially manage, even though in this save they've been a sort of mid-table bottom half team, but then there's still something there potentially as well. But out of the jobs that are looking a bit insecure right now, that are sort of on the cards, Freiburg would be interesting, definitely. And as far as I can tell, there's a lot of German teams that we're not allowed to manage. I would say 80% of the top flight in the Bundesliga are not manageable due to Germany have had a lot of teams in cup finals. Hoffenheim are one of the ones that we could potentially go for. Freiburg are another of those. Sassuolo in Serie A are an interesting option as well. So that's definitely worth considering were that one to come along, because that's just kind of interesting, isn't it? I don't know what sort of system Sassuolo actually play. Okay, good to see. Oh, they got Pacino, who scored for Italy in the Euros the other day. And as you can see, they've been sort of a solid-ish mid-table team in Serie A, who are currently 13th, so not awful, really. But it's definitely a team that I would be tempted to go after, should the job come available. That's the one that's I'm eyeing up at the moment. Okay, so we've moved on a little bit. A lot of the leagues started back up again on the 25th, so they've just had their first round of fixtures again. You'll see now, I'm guessing Hoffenheim must have lost, because now Marcus Gisdol's job is now sort of not up for grabs, but it's certainly on the cards right now. There's a few jobs sort of bubbling under the surface as things stand. NAC Breda as well in the Eredivisie. They've had some okay results. And then obviously there's the Sassuolo job in there too. So it's definitely getting interesting again, that's for sure. So I just thought I'd step in and have a little look at Dinamo Zagreb to see if their board continued doing silly nonsense. And, well, would you believe they have? Cesar Gelaver's now gone to Parma for £3.9 million. And a transfer that I guess is not hugely surprising in a way. Ivica Hodak to Inter for 23 million, rising to 29. But the thing is, you know, had we stayed at Zagreb, then they would have just pulled... It wouldn't have been my choice to sell him, of course. He would have just gone anyway. And honestly, had the others not happened, this wouldn't have even been that shocking. But it just feels like they're just having a fire sale. Now, obviously, we did spend a decent amount, but I was just trying to keep us afloat. They've still raked in over 33 million in profit in transfers in this season. They are just having a fire sale. It feels like it's the last day of the window, but let's face it, in the summer, they'll go back in and sell a load more lads, won't they? I wouldn't be surprised if... I'm surprised Strikic is still there, to be fair. It's a shame about Hodak, but it does give the idea that when we can finally find ourselves a club, Dinko Pavlic is still on the board, boys, and that's the main thing. I want him so bad. Him and Glavash potentially could be signings for whoever we end up joining. Still no updates on that one just yet, but we're getting there. Right then, it's happening. It has happened. All three of them on the same day. Gisdol is gone, Dubrovski's gone, and Dambrauskas has gone. Hoffenheim, Freiburg, and Sassuolo jobs all up for grabs at the very same time. Now, obviously, we're not in the running as favourites for any of them, but that doesn't mean that we can't get our asses in there very quickly and see what happens. So let's just do the lay of the land. Sassuolo, current situation, 16th in Serie A right now. They're currently 3 points off the relegation zone with 14 games left to play. But let's face it, surely their squad is better than that when you look at their results so far in this save. The lowest they've finished is 15th, but recently 7th and then 10th last year. They've certainly not challenged greatly for a while. They've had a few 7th places during the save, but that's a, you know, they're a good side. Interesting thing, they've got what looks like an Icelandic lad who's their key player. Obviously, I don't want to go into too much detail with that, just in case we take the job and it'll be less of a surprise. But they're definitely an interesting club. And look at the youth facilities as well. Also, can we just talk about Cagliari? 5th place. Fair one. Freiburg, currently 14th in the Bundesliga on 19 points. That is their situation currently. As far as systems, they play a 4-4-2. Interesting. They've actually got Victor Boniface, or Boniface. I don't know. He was a bit of a legend on my Tromsø, say, for other teams. So, secure finances as well, which is interesting. Media prediction 10th. I mean, they also play a system, in theory, that is... When I look at these systems, obviously, I think this basically just shows the sort of shape they lined up for in the last game. The reason I find this is important, because it does give us a little idea as to what sort of players they might have in the squad as far as whether they'll fit our style of play. So a 4-2-3-1 there is a good sign. And Sassuolo also play a 4-2-3-1. So, honestly, just out of those two things right now, I would still be leaning towards either Sassuolo or Hoffenheim were we to get offered these jobs. Freiburg is still an interesting one as well, but I feel like it would be my third choice currently, despite them occupying a slightly higher spot than Hoffenheim. So we're obviously going to apply for all three of these jobs. This is where things get tasty, friends. This is what we've been waiting for. It's taken us till February, but we're on it. Okay. So, the wheels have started turning. It took a little while. We've been offered job interviews with Freiburg now and Sassuolo on the same day. Still nothing yet from Hoffenheim. So, interesting. Yep, happy to start immediately. Okay, so they have a few sort of requests. They want to sign German players and sign players based in Germany, which, given that Germany have very relaxed restrictions as far, in fact, barely any, on terms of, like, the signings, that would kind of be a bit annoying, particularly when it comes to bringing in the players that we actually want to bring in from some of the guys from, say, Zagreb, so not ideal. 1.83 million. Well, we certainly wouldn't be able to sign any of those guys, not with a 1.83 million pounds yet, but obviously next season things could change. So let's see what Sassuolo have got to offer us. 15th in Serie A now. So, wow, actually they have a very similar set of requirements, actually. A lot of stuff, including the sign Italian players one, which, to be fair, in Italy, given the way that the squad rules work, actually is more sensible. Under 20s, though, they want to make the most of set pieces, kind of standard stuff in there as well. Maintain the booth youth system in the country. That's interesting, actually. 14 million at Sassuolo. So they've got some moolah to hand. And obviously 1.8 million. So there's definitely a gap between the two, for sure. Because at this point, it's an absolutely no-brainer, Sassuolo, out of the two. Although the Augsburg job is now looking a bit insecure to go with it. Bordeaux job, that's up for grabs, but we can't do that. And Nice, I think, is actually a potential manageable one. Leipzig job coming up potentially as well, but obviously they're off the list. Well, now things get very interesting. Firstly, Sassuolo, they did not hang about, did they? £21,000 a week in wage they want to give us, which would definitely be our highest ever wage for ourselves as well. Couple of promises, which is acceptable dressing room atmosphere, which is reasonable to deal with. We've done that pretty sensibly the last few clubs, it would seem. They still complain about it, though, which is weird. Nothing to do with media handling either. So I'll obviously delay this if I can. This stuff annoys me, because it's like, unless you have play for set pieces specifically turned on in your tactic, they think that you're not trying to score goals from set pieces. And to me, it should count more on how many goals we actually score from set pieces, which is, you know, a lot. But hey, I guess that's just how it goes. Let's see. Sign players based in Germany. Again, why is it play direct football? Most of set pieces, high tempo pressing play. Limited finances, they say. £16 million. Okay, so Freiburg have approached us now. Wow, that's a 30 grand a week in guys. Maybe, like, Sassuolo have got, like, a wage budget of 1.8 million, but they were giving us, they're offering 9 grand a week less. Freiburg, spend a bit less on the manager, but they're clearly desperate to bring in a manager like us. We'll obviously delay here as well. Okay, Sassuolo are back. Now, we still get a second week to delay, thank goodness, because we've still not heard anything back yet from Hoffenheim. So hopefully they'll agree to it. They always usually agree to a 2-week delay. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. That's unusual. That's the first time I think they've actually done that. That's the first time that's happened in this save. Usually you get 2 delays. They've only given us 1. Oh, the pressure. They're like, come on. You know you want it. We have a huge decision to make now. Wow, that is actually insane. I figured, like, we'll give them a second week of delay. That should hopefully give enough time for Hoffenheim to either offer us, and if they don't in that period, then the chances are they probably weren't going to anyway. Now we have to make a decision, a massive one. So where are they? 16th in Serie A right now. 5 points above the drop zone. But they're in the sort of mid-table area of teams where it's not too bad. One thing I have noticed as well, that Hoffenheim actually did switch systems around a few times. Well, they've actually got some interesting players. They've got Skov Olsen, they've got Kudus, they've got Pessina. Oh, the other thing that's concerning me, and I'm genuinely a little bit worried about this now, is that Sassuolo came in instantly, and Freiburg came in instantly. Hoffenheim have dragged their heels hugely. Let's get stuck in. So, 2-year contract, that's fine. 21k a week, that's fine. They have some reasonable expectations from us, which we kind of knew would be the case anyway. I still think this would give us a platform which we could go after someone like Dinko Pavlich anyway. Best youth system in the country. I actually had no idea that Sassuolo's youth system was as good as that, but that's kind of good, to be fair. Yeah, and as with the Osasuna job in many ways, I feel like, you know, if it doesn't work and we don't quite get the time that we need to build the squad out, no, I'd like to think that we don't leave after 6 months though, then I think that we can always step back into the way that we have, because obviously this save is long term. We've got plenty of time. Kim is only 44. There's loads of room. You know what? Let's do it. Let's move to the greens. Let's go to US Sassuolo Calcio. I've always liked Sassuolo as well. So, hey, let's do this. Boom. Oh, look at those shirts. Lovely stuff. Gorgeous. They're really, I love it. The red and the green and black is just a cool combination, to be fair. Cool stadium, cool badge. Everything's kind of just quite cool. I watched them give it to like Andre Villas-Boas or something, and we're like, oh, okay, maybe we probably could have got ahead of him, but it is what it is. But then if Zidane gets it, then it's like, well, you know, that's a lot of the team that you're seeing right now. There's definitely some regions in here, definitely some real players in there as well. Lots of transfer obligations as well. A lot of players are leaving. Renato Sanchez is here, for crying out loud. But obviously he won't be very much longer. So it's definitely going to be a rebuilding job, hey. But we love a rebuild over here as well. I'm curious to see what this Sigthionsson guy looks like. But we won't find out till tomorrow. Good. Minus £11 million. Okay, right. They've lost £34 million this season. That's fine. Everything is fine. For all I know, Hoffenheim are in similar trouble. They both had okay finances. They've really lost a lot of money. But maybe maybe player sale. We'll have to figure it out. Do not worry. Committed spending to that. So we've definitely got some spare money on that side of things in terms of transfers. And also, presumably, we can call in a lot of these as well, hopefully, and grab a bit of extra cash through that to try and sort some stuff out. They've Emerson as well. So, wow, their record is terrible. It's terrible. They did beat Fiorentina, though. So that's the thing that's happened. So next game is against Udinese, who I believe are bottom of the league at home. What a place to start. Against the bottom club. Against Udinese. This guy, Styrmir Sigurjonsson, is definitely their best player. Should we have a little sneaky look at him? He's clearly a striker. You know what? Screw it. Let's have a little sneaky look at him. We'll save the rest of the stuff for tomorrow. Ooh, hello. Finishing lacking. But boy, howdy. He actually might be the kind of pressing forward that we've wanted in this save. Because he lacks the finishing ability, which means he's more of a deep liar or a pressing kind of forward, which actually might suit us perfectly. Great physicals as well. Great work rate. He's right-footed. Oh, I quite like this guy, actually. 23 goals for Iceland as well in 42 caps is pretty spectacular. He's worth £40 million and is on over £100,000 a week. And he's still got 3 years left on his contract as well. So I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon, hopefully. He excites me. The rest of the squad hopefully will be just as exciting, but I think he might actually suit us down to the ground, to be honest. I really, really like that guy as the pressing forward in our system, to be fair. That is so much better than a square peg in a round hole. So, obviously, we'll have a look through the rest of the squad, go through everything in the next video. But we are now the manager of Sassuolo. I'll be interested to see who actually takes over the Hoffenheim job. They won't have appointed a manager. No, they haven't appointed a manager. I wonder who's the favourite now. Oh, well, never mind. So, yeah, I'll be curious to see who ends up getting that job. But I still think that we might regret the decision. I don't know. But for now, I'm actually pretty happy with it. So, yeah. If you've enjoyed this video and you're looking forward to seeing what we get up to at Sassuolo, then of course, drop a like on the video. That would be superb. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That'd be brilliant as well. I stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday. Not this week, though, because I'm away. And I will see you, well, on Saturday. Still on the other days. And I will see you guys tomorrow as we get stuck in to Sassuolo. Stabilize and build. That's our plan. Let's see if we can crack it. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.